Is Ace Attorney Justice for All the perfect sequel? Well, the answer may surprise no, it is not. This game is saved by the second and fourth case, and the third case almost made me drop the game. But even though it's not the perfect sequel, I definitely feel I got more to talk about. The topics are deeper, and the stakes are higher. Also, this video only has spoilers for the first and second game, no spoilers for the third game. With that out of the way, let me show you my personal top 3 life lessons from Phoenix Wright Justice for All. Number 3. Don't play out your cards in trust. Quick question, from Justice for All, which do you believe is the most interesting villain? If you chose Richard Wellington, you'll be correct! No, but really, I would like to know your opinion in the comments. For me personally, it was someone that was a bit obvious, but the backstory of the villain is so tragic it makes me feel terrible for what happened. I find Mimi is the most interesting villain in Justice for All, coupling together Morgan Fay as an accomplice, but we'll see more about her in the future. As a quick recap, Mimi caused the death of 14 patients from mixing up their medications because she was being overworked by Dr. Gray. And then, because of the stress from the media, she fell asleep while driving, causing a car accident, having her face completely disfigured and causing the death of her sister Inimini. She had to go under surgery, and as a way to escape it all, she decided to pretend to be her dead sister, and it worked. She became Inimini, a student of the paranormal. She had finally found a way to live a new life. But then, to the worst of her nightmares, Dr. Gray approached her. He had been accused by the media of being the culprit of the car accident by drugging Minnie. So he wanted to prove his innocence by channeling the spirit of Minnie and ask her to write a confession, taking the responsibility of the malpractice and the car accident. And as the channeling will fail, it could blow her cover, so she planned alongside Morgan the murder of Dr. Gray and framing Maya. And well, you might be asking, what does this have to do with the lesson? Well, even though Mimi is interesting in the visual novel, there's one key difference that makes her better in the anime. Let's see, shall we?
先の計画を知って、私はクラインの里を訪ねた。そしてあの人にお願いしたの。霊を呼び出さないでうまくごまかしてほしいって。でもあの人は言ったわ。
もっといい方法がござます。
あの人の計画通りにやること、さもないと全てを公表するって。
In the anime, if Mimi hadn't told Morgan, it might be possible this would have never happened. After all, spirit channeling is very controversial in the Ace Attorney universe, thanks to what happened in the DL6 incident. There might still be a chance that Dr. Gray wouldn't have realized Innie's true identity, but having told everything to Morgan, there was no way out anymore. She placed all her trust in the worst person possible. And speaking about placing all your trust in the worst person possible, let's talk about the worst case of the series. Turnabout Big Top. Except in the anime way they cooked. Why did this all happen? Because Bat trusted Regina and played all of his cards, putting his face inside an allergic lion. What about the fourth case? Well, Phoenix at the beginning put all trust in the Macadama, which led him to accuse Adrian of the murder and almost getting Matt innocent, leaving the truth never to be found. What about the first case? Of course, Wellington placed all of his trust in seeing a banana. Okay, I got nothing for the first case. In any case, trust is very powerful, and trust in the right people can make for a very happy life. But putting too much trust, even worse, in the wrong person, can lead to tragedy. Number 2. Making the time to reflect. It's funny how Von Karma never took a vacation, except for that one time after he adopted Edward by force. In the meantime, Edward took a long vacation in which he traumatized Phoenix by pretending to be dead to the point he didn't even want to be reminded of him.
Why did you say that name?
Yeah, that part of pretending to be dead is not something to take away, but the vacation part I believe is very important. For 4 years, Edward had a perfect win record. He was ruthless and would do almost anything to get a guilty verdict. Not as extreme as Von Karma, for example, he wouldn't forge evidence. But all of his worldview changed after facing his first, second, and third defeat, and of course the defeat of his mentor, which revealed Von Karma was actually his father's killer. And in his third defeat, it was revealed that in the SL9 case, part of the evidence he presented was actually forged. Even if it was planted on him, he blamed himself for it. He believed what Gandhi had told him. He might have become corrupt just like him, given enough time. And so, Edward chooses death. He needed the time to think, to evaluate his life. After all, he had a lot of regret to process. Speaking of regret, in one of the most straight Ace Attorney manga, which to be fair is not canon, but I really like the characterization of Edward, there's a chapter in which Edward is almost stabbed by a kid in revenge for his father. Edward in the past had convicted this kid's father for a murder. It's not very clear if he committed the murder, but he was an accomplice, and it's implied Edward gave this man a harsh verdict and later died in prison. So when this kid tried to stab Edward, he did not dodge. He was caught in the regret, because regardless of what happened, this boy had lost his father because of him, just like he had lost his father because of karma. Fortunately, he had an arm cast from a recent accident, which blocked the knife. The boy wondered why he didn't dodge, so Edward gave him a hug, telling him he will be okay, and I'm pretty sure this wasn't only for the kid. Edward chooses death is actually very fitting, because his old self had died, making the time to reflect had allowed him to become a better person. Time-offs are a great time to relax and release stress, and they're also some of the best time to reflect. Why do we do what we do? Edward found that despising criminals was his original motive to be a prosecutor, but thanks to his time to reflect, his new motive is now saving people by seeking the truth. Number 1. For impossible decisions, choose with the heart. Turnabout Farewell is easily in my top 3 of the best cases in the entire series. I didn't know about Trials and Tribulations at the time, and I also didn't mention this before, but I also didn't know anything about the first game, since Justice for All was my first Ace Attorney, so believe me when I say I truly feared for Maya's life in the last case. As for me, I gotten to know her in this game, and who is to say this is the game where she dies? I also didn't know how linear Ace Attorney could be. I mean, the previous cases were very linear, but in the last case, there's a moment that completely took me by surprise. The tone of the game was really clear. For the next choice, there was no right answer, and as a player, you had to take the choice. It's the moment when time runs out, and the judge is asking Phoenix to make a choice for his client. Is he guilty, revealing the true mastermind behind the crime? Or not guilty, saving Maya's life? What is the correct choice? I believe this is an impossible decision that does not have a correct answer. Personally, I chose guilty, sacrificing Maya. Firstly, because Maya asked you to do this and was ready for the consequences. Second, because it catches the true criminal, revealing the truth and clearing Adrian of any suspicion. But there's also a very compelling argument to be made for the not guilty choice, as it will save Maya's life and it's your job as a lawyer. It's the prosecutor's job to have the evidence to convict Matt. But even more than that, I saw this very good argument in Reddit that if you think in terms of probabilities, Shelly the killer would have 100% killed Maya if you didn't get Matt innocent. But Adrian wasn't guaranteed to be found guilty in her trial, so there's more of a chance to prevent both deaths. But I mean, even then, it would make Matt and Guard innocent, and because double jeopardy exists in the Ace Attorney universe, you can't accuse someone of the same crime twice. In any case, for these impossible choices, the game speaks for itself. Evidence was no longer going to help. The only thing we can do for these kind of situations is trust our heart, following our values that even though if the outcome is not perfect, we did our best to do what we believe is the right thing. Now, of course, I feel this kind of choices are not as common. Whenever possible, the best choices are determined by logic, but it's when logic no longer applies, we can only trust what we feel and believe is for the best. And by always considering the best decisions, we can create our own luck, our own miracles, thanks to our previous choices. Justice for All holds a special place in my heart. It introduced me to this wonderful series, and I really wouldn't be the same person if I hadn't played this game. I wouldn't be doing videos. I started this after taking a time off on December, in which I had time to reflect, and doing these videos is one of the things I most wanted to do with my life. And there are many other ideas I want to make videos of. I would really appreciate your support if you leave a like and subscribe. I'm currently working on the Trials and Tribulations video, and in the previous video I got such positive comments. I have to say thank you. It motivates me so much that my videos can become helpful. Seriously, thank you so much for watching, and I hope you have a great day.